Guys, what is going on? I'm going to bring you a different video today. It's going to be a retro review. I just got done watching the 1000th episode of Monday Night Raw, and it's hard to believe that that was over 6 years ago. July 21st, 2012. It's hard to believe. I remember watching that live. How fast time truly does fly. And it was a monumental episode. And I should say July 23rd, excuse me. Let me get that right. July 23rd, 2012. Just saying that out loud. I remember at the time, I remember that summer period for Raw, it was really bad. But I knew that 1000th episode was going to be an episode to remember. And I really enjoyed that 1000th episode. It sure as hell beat the 20th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. That was not good. But the 1000th, it certainly lived up to the hype. And that's why I'm going to do a retro review. In honor of tomorrow, the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. And of course, I will be doing live reactions to the entire 3 hours. Hopefully it all goes well. Knock on wood. And then, of course, my live Raw 25 review. It's going to be great. It's going to be a fun night. This is going to be one hell of a week. We got Raw 25. We got an NXT TakeOver. And, of course, the Royal Rumble. So, for me, I think the road to WrestleMania truly begins tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw. But we're going to take a look. We're going to go in. Remember when New Day went in the time machine? We're going to get into the time machine. And this is my Raw 1000 review. So we kick things off. Of course, how else are you going to kick off the 1000th episode of Monday Night Raw? I'm thinking of law school. Monday Night Raw, live from St. Louis, Missouri, with the one, the only, the owner, Vince McMahon. Vince comes out, and that, of course, he leads to the introduction of DX. Now, at the time, I was thinking it's just going to be Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Not only did we get them, we got Road Dogg, we got Billy Gunn, and we got X-Pac. So, not the entire DX. No China. Rest in peace. Of course, Rick Rude. Rest in peace. But most of the members of DX. And it was great to see. I believe that was the first time Billy Gunn and, oh, you didn't know? Your ass blocked me on Twitter, Road Dogg, were back in WWE. I believe that was a return. And, you know, who knows? Maybe we'll see that tomorrow on Raw. We'll have to see because DX is advertised. So, but it was great to see. You could tell these guys were having fun. Of course, they did the "Are you ready?" And then before they could do their whole, shtick, Damian Sandow interrupted him. Remember him? The Mizdow, Damian Sandow. It's fun going back to watch these shows just to see how your opinions change or how you view the show. I still enjoyed it. But it's interesting seeing where Damian Sandow was at this time, where he would go, become Money in the Bank, and then after that it went downhill. He did the impersonations, and he did the Mizdow stuff, and then, well, of course, now, it was what it was. I like Sandow. I felt like there was a big missed opportunity once you split him off from The Miz. But, seeing DX together, they laid out Damian Sandow. HBK hit Sweet Chin Music, and you had Triple H hit the pedigree. And it was great seeing. I couldn't think of a more perfect way to kick off Raw than with the reunion of the original members of D-Generation X. So we were off to a great start. Fun 6-man tag match, although looking back on it here, Sheamus was your World Heavyweight Champion, and he was in a 6-man tag match in the second segment of the night. Just goes to show you how little they thought of the World Heavyweight Championship. By the way, that Sheamus 2012 run was very bad because he was bland and, just an unrelatable babyface. Like, I hated that run from Sheamus. Was not a fan of his run in 2012. Much better with Cesaro and Sheamus. They're killing it as a tag team. But Sheamus as World Heavyweight Champion just never did it for me. Him as a babyface was just, no. Never worked for me. Who else do we have in this match? Rey Mysterio. Sin Cara. I believe the original Mystico or whatever his name was. And we had, good old Alberto Del Rio. One of my least favorites. Chris Jericho, who I was surprised to see was relegated to a 6-man tag match. And Dolph Ziggler. And we had Jim Ross join Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler. It would have been great to see JR call commentary on the entire episode, but the nice thing is tomorrow on Raw, we're going to get Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross calling commentary live from the Manhattan Center. It's going to be a sight to behold. So that's one reason I'm happy they're doing the split locations tomorrow. Like I said, decent six-man tag here. Jericho attempted to get the code breaker and hit the walls of Jericho on Sheamus, but Sheamus hit a bro kick to Jericho for the win, so World Heavyweight Champion gets the win there. Brodus Clay was not a fan of that gimmick at all. The Funkadactyls, or whatever they were called, Naomi and, I believe, Cameron. So at least Naomi's doing better. Can't say the same for Cameron and Brodus Clay. And Jack Swagger, he defeated him. Oh, it's funny. Naomi's the only one left out of all these people. And we had Dude Love come down and dance with Brodus Clay. Out of all the three faces of Foley, I'd have to rank Dude Love at the bottom. For me, it goes Mankind, Cactus Jack, and then Dude Love. I love them all, but Dude Love, I always love Mankind. Throughout the show, and this is just funny going back to watch and putting things in perspective. You guys remember Tout, when they tried to shove Tout down our throats? Tout, it's going to be the next big thing in the internet. And yeah, how long did Tout last? Not that long. So they were doing touting throughout the night. And they had Charlie Sheen as the special guest star or whatever? I have no idea. I'm like, why the hell was Charlie Sheen here? What he was pilled up on, or what drugs he was on during this. And I heard that they wanted to do a match, and obviously they were trying to head in this direction. Thank God it fell through. It was supposed to be Charlie Sheen versus Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam. I believe they wanted to do that match. Luckily, we didn't get that. Instead, we got Kane versus Daniel Bryan, and of course that led to Team Hell No, and then everything else that happened afterwards. But speaking of what happened next, I love this segment. So AJ Lee and Layla, they're backstage, and AJ's talking about how this entire place is just unstable. It's full of people that are absolutely out of their minds. We have Hacksaw Jim Duggan walking down the hall. The late, great Roddy Piper, God rest his soul, and R-Truth playing jump rope with Little Jimmy. And then the best part, Mae Young, the late Mae Young, God rest her soul, and her son, the hand was all grown up. I hope the hand is on Raw 25. He's grown up fast. I remember when he came out of the womb. It's so disgusting. It was so weird. So one of the strangest moments. I mean, only in wrestling could somebody give birth to a hand, and Gerald Briscoe's puking his guts. I'm sorry. It was just, oh man, that was great. And then we had the wedding. AJ Lee and Daniel Bryan being married by the Slickster. He was the Reverend. And before we could finish the wedding, AJ said, "I'm saying yes, but not to you." And then when Vince came out, I remember thinking, is AJ going to marry Vince McMahon? That didn't happen. She eventually married somebody else in the WWE, CM Punk. We're getting there. But Vince announced that AJ was going to be the general manager of Monday Night Raw. Wow. Did not see that coming at the time. Forget how long it lasted. It was only a couple months. It wasn't. I believe Vicky was general manager after her, if I remember correctly. But that was a shocking announcement. You could tell the crowd was completely stunned. It was like, what? AJ Lee is general manager at Raw? So this throws Daniel Bryan into a fit. He's throwing shit. He's ripping up the altar and throwing the flowers everywhere. And he's saying, and then CM Punk comes out to rub salt in his face. And Bryan gets right in his face and says he is the greatest of all time. And as soon as he said that, who would come out but the great one, The Rock? And we all know where this is going. The Rock announced that he was going to challenge the WWE Champion at the Royal Rumble. As we all know, that was CM Punk. But as you could tell here, they were either teasing Punk or Bryan. And as Punk said, either you turn heel or they're going to put the title on Bryan. And it would have been Rock Bryan at the Rumble. But seeing these three interact in the ring was great. Of course, The Rock, one of my all-time favorites. Daniel, like literally three of my favorites right here in the ring. You imagine a triple threat between The Rock, CM Punk, and Daniel Bryan. Woo, that would be lit. But, he called Daniel Bryan Frodo Baggins from The Lord of the Rings. He called him an Oompa Loompa. He looked more like the offspring of a homeless lumberjack and an Oompa Loompa. And then, of course, he ended the segment. Rock hit the rock bottom on Daniel Bryan. But I love how they teased here. Rock, Punk. I enjoyed that feud. Them fighting back and forth for the WWE Championship. Love their match at the Royal Rumble Elimination Chamber. Good stuff looking back on it. But this was the genesis right here. This is where it began. Of course, we all know what happened. Rock Cena 2. Wasn't a fan of that so much. But CM Punk Rock, I like that a lot. And this is irony. I did not know this, and I'm going to mention this. So we had Bret Hart come down to the ring. He served as the special guest announcer, and he said one of the greatest moments in his career was when he defeated the late, great Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental Championship. And he was the special guest announcer for the Intercontinental Championship match between Christian, who was Intercontinental Champion at the time, taking on The Miz. How ironic it is. Now, 6 years later, on the 25th anniversary of Raw, we have The Miz challenging Roman Reigns for the Intercontinental Championship. And as luck would have it, Miz won his first Intercontinental Championship here on the 1000th episode of Raw. I actually hope they bring that up tomorrow. That would be great. 8 years later, while you're actually referencing something that far back. I almost forgot. But yeah, Miz won his very first Intercontinental Championship on the 1000th episode of Raw. And I predict, I'm going to go out here on a limb and say that Miz will win the Intercontinental Championship tomorrow night on the 25th anniversary of Raw. Good match here between Christian and Miz. Miz hits the skull-crushing finale, taking advantage of an injured Christian who his leg, throughout the match, Miz is working over on the leg. And like I said, and he also, with that win, it said here, he became the 21st Triple Crown Champion. He won the WWE Championship, of course, the Intercontinental Championship, and the Tag Team Championships. We had Paul Heyman, Triple H in the ring. This, of course, was all leading to the announcement of Brock Lesnar challenging Triple H. I enjoyed their first match at SummerSlam. Their other two matches, I don't know. Not so much. Didn't even watch their cage match. But looking back on this, I like how it got personal between Heyman, Triple H with Heyman, getting personal with Triple H, calling out his children. Eventually that led to Stephanie coming out, who at this time I wasn't sick to death of because honestly Stephanie really wasn't on TV that much. So see, absence can even make the heart grow fonder for Stephanie. And of course, when Stephanie comes out to the ring, what is she going to do? Well, she got right in Heyman's face and pretty much called him a failure at WCW, a failure for ECW, and you're trying to cover up for your numerous failures as a businessman. And she slapped Heyman right in the face, of course. Of course, that just set Heyman off like that, and that's where Heyman accepted the challenge on Brock's behalf. And, Heyman once again ran his mouth. Stephanie was slapping the shit out of him. That led to Brock Lesnar coming down to the ring. Him and Triple H had a nice little, back and forth punches and just a fight. And they'll stare down before their eventual showdown at SummerSlam 2012. It's hard to believe this was 6 years ago. Lesnar came back 6 years ago in 2012. But I enjoyed this. I really did. We had the one-man band, Heath Slater. Remember, he's got kids. This poor guy. Poor Heath. As we all know at this time, he was calling out all these old legends. Of course, he called out guys like Vader, JBL, Ron Simmons, APA. We also had Doink the Clown there. We had Bob Backlund, Rikishi. Let's see who else we got there. Legion of Doom. And of course, Lita was there. And this led to Lita defeating Heath Slater. And then he got turned inside out by a JBL clothesline from hell. And then Ron Simmons said, "Damn!" Also, DDP was there. So I hope I got everybody that was in the ring. If I missed somebody, I apologize. But, poor Heath Slater. The guy can never catch a break. Drafted last in the WWE draft in 2016. Brock Lesnar beats the shit out of him. He didn't give a shit about his kids. But, this was fun. It was fun seeing all the legends. We also, speaking of legend, we had Sean Mooney interview Daniel Bryan backstage. It was great seeing him back. And once again, trying to set up this feud between Daniel Bryan and Charlie Sheen. It's just hilarious going back to watch this. Thinking if they were actually thinking about a match between Daniel Bryan and Charlie Sheen. Could you imagine if that would have taken place? I don't even want to think about it. Speaking of, you can't have the 1000th episode of Raw without seeing Kane and The Undertaker reunite as the Brothers of Destruction. And this was great, seeing them take out, of course, the former WWE Champion, Jinder Mahal. I love seeing Jinder Mahal get his ass kicked, especially by two legends in Kane and The Undertaker. They also took out the likes of, remember these guys? Tyler Rex, deleted. Kurt Hawkins, he's still there. Hunico, delete. Camacho, delete. And Drew McIntyre, he was also in there. This was before 3MB. It wasn't formed yet. But seeing Kane and The Undertaker hit the chokeslam and double tombstone and just the crowd chanting, "This is awesome." Taker still looked good here. This was, of course, after his legendary match with Triple H, one of my favorites in WrestleMania history, the end of an era Hell in a Cell match. He had the shorter hair, when he shaved his head. And it'll be interesting to see what Undertaker does tomorrow on Raw. I'm really interested, kind of nervous, but interested to see what he does. We'll have to see. But this was great here, seeing him and Kane reunite as the Brothers of Destruction. Then we had our main event. John Cena, of course, he won Money in the Bank that year, Money in the Bank 2012. He cashed in, announced that he was going to challenge CM Punk for the WWE Championship. Never got tired of seeing John Cena, CM Punk, one of my favorite feuds in the PG era, the new era, whatever the hell era you want to call it, the reality era. Match was going good between these two, they knew each other so well. Cena, Punk. One of Cena's best opponents, and likewise with Punk. Of course, Big Show came back in the ring multiple times. First time he knocked Cena out, that led to Punk being distraught, confused. A referee took a bump earlier, and Punk rolled back in the ring, tried to go for the 1, 2, 3. Cena kicks out. Of course, Big Show comes back down to the ring, lays out Cena. Punk's just standing there, not really doing anything to help Cena. And then, of course, The Rock comes down, makes the big save, setting up the Big Show, hits him with a really nice-looking spine buster onto the Big Show. And then as The Rock is going for the most electrifying move in all of entertainment, the People's Elbow, CM Punk lays out The Rock with the GTS. Rock sold it like $1 million. The CM Punk heel turn, we all know what happened, but at the time it was like, wow, what a shocking way to end the 1000th episode of Raw. So what a night it was. And much better than the 20th anniversary of Raw. And hopefully we get a great anniversary episode tomorrow. Because to me, this was the last great celebration episode of Raw. 15th anniversary was great. Of course, the Homecoming, that was another good anniversary. Big celebration type show. 20th anniversary really dropped the ball. Hopefully the 25th anniversary delivers. I have a feeling it will. But that's my thoughts on the 1000th episode of Raw. Guys, leave your comments down below for what you thought of the 1000th episode of Raw. And just looking back on it, if you had a chance to watch it again, maybe your thoughts changed. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe here on youtube.com/DanielGuys412. Be sure to follow me on Twitter @DanielGuys412. And once again, tomorrow, live Raw reactions for the entire 3 hours. We're going to see how this goes, but hopefully it all goes well. And of course, afterwards, at 11:15, we're going to break down the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw, myself and the Club of the Man 1993. So be sure to check all that out. And of course, we got the Royal Rumble coming up. I'm going to be doing preview and predictions video later on in this week. Live NXT TakeOver. Philly review, that'll be up here as well, around probably 10:45, 11 o'clock on Saturday. And then, of course, the big review, the Royal Rumble review, immediately following the pay-per-view. Stay tuned for all the latest content as we are officially heading on the road to WrestleMania, guys. It's going to be fun. So that does it for this review. Thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your day.